Hello everybody, 'tis I, the Rumpled One. It's Saturday morning. I'm getting ready to go up to our preppers meeting. But I thought I'd take a little break, go down and visit the ocean for a bit. I tell you, if Dr. Ben Carson's been in the news a lot, well, seems like everybody wants to talk to him and ask him, even talk about him being the next president. It's funny because listening to the different talk radio hosts, it seems like there's a consensus that somehow the media is going to have a hard time demonizing him because he just talks sense. In fact, I listened to his CPAC speech where he outlined some points, and it just made a lot of sense. He just wants to do what's right for the country. And what's really interesting is how he uses the Bible a lot. He'll quote from the Bible. And of course, I guess that gets some people up in arms. But he makes a lot of sense. He says, you know, we have to come together, we have to unite. Because he says this guy named Jesus said, a house divided cannot stand. Or something to that effect. He gets a lot of applause when he speaks. He just pretty much says it how he sees it. He doesn't really point fingers at anybody in particular. But what he does is he talks about results, he talks about actions. He doesn't really talk about people. It was really funny when he was talking about economics and they'd go, well, you don't have a degree in economics. He goes, well, it's not brain science or brain surgery. I've considered he's a brain surgeon. I thought that was a great comeback. Because most economists couldn't buy their way out of a paper bag anyway. Their predictions are almost always wrong. And you can see what mess they've got us in. But what I'm wondering though is, if Dr. Ben Carson wanted to be president, would he run on the Republican ticket? I don't know if the Republicans would want him per se, because he's not going to play ball the way they want to play ball. And we know the Democrats don't want him. So what's left? What's left? I guess he could run as an independent. But what would be really interesting, and think this through, ponder this. If Dr. Ben Carson ran as an independent, would they allow him on the debates? Would he be actually at those debates? Because we all know they blank out the Libertarian candidate. Ross Perot was the only one that wasn't a Democrat or Republican that actually got to the debates. And you have to wonder why that is. It's like that picture on YouTube. A two-headed snake. One says Democrat, and the other head says Republican. It's the same body. And the results are pretty much the same. Higher taxes, less freedom. Because that's the only real issue, liberty. And remember the freedom equation that I told you about. The only way you can be free, truly free, is if your power is greater than or equal to anybody else's power. Otherwise, if their power is greater, they can subject you to their beliefs and their will. They can impose it upon you. And you can't stop it because your power is less than theirs. It's that simple. And I think that's what the fear is in the government. And one other thing about that house divided, what we have to do, each and every one of us, is we have to refuse their labels. We have to reject their labels. What do I mean by this? Well, let's think about it. What do they call an AR-15? They call it an assault weapon, an assault rifle. We have to reject that label. We can't refer to it. We just call it's an AR-15. That's the name of it. Whenever we talk about it, we can't talk about assault weapons because that's their label. If we use their labels, they win. Because then we're playing their game. You know, when they divide us by color of our skin, our gender, and any other preference, or religion, or ideology, whenever they start drawing those lines to divide us, we have to reject those labels and say, hey, we're just humans. You know, we cut, we bleed. Of course there's some differences. But the only thing that matters is freedom and liberty. Justice for all, right? But we have to remember, those in power, those who have the power, they make the laws, they enforce the laws. But you see, it's only the law because they say it's the law, because they have the power. If you have more power, then you make your own laws. You'd be like that wave. You do what you want. You just roll on in, roll on over. If somebody told you, well, you can't do that, you just say, you want to bet? Yes, I can. I can drink what I want, smoke what I want, eat what I want. Try and stop me. You can't. Because you don't have the power. So you see, it gets back to that might makes right that you were probably taught was wrong as a little kid. But that's the way the world works. Might makes right. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But if you don't acknowledge it, if you're not aware of it, it can kill you. And so that's why I do videos like the 48 Laws of Power. Or that's why I talk about ghetto physics. Things that you may or may not know. But as you learn them, as you become aware, you become more knowledgeable. And you can prepare a defense. It's like us preppers. We prepare all hazards. See, I don't know if it's going to be a tsunami, an earthquake, a flood, extreme cold, hurricane, tornado, high winds, famine, nuclear event, an EMP, power outage. I don't know what's going to happen. So I just prepare. Could be social unrest. Could be war. The government could go bankrupt. All hell could break loose. That's why I prepare. You see, it all ties in together. Each one of us just want to survive, just want to live our lives. And if asked, what do you want? Most people say they want to be happy. They want to do things that make them happy. They want to be around people that make them happy. They want to eat, drink, smoke, do whatever that makes them happy. You very rarely hear anybody say they want to dominate somebody else or force their will upon somebody else. But like I said before, the funny thing is even if I could wave a magic wand and get rid of all the governments, within a few weeks or months, governments would start popping up in forms of gangs, in forms of civilian groups or militias. There'd be local leaders, and then they'd want to seek more power, and they would impose their own new rules because they have the power, and we'd be right back to where we started to a degree. I guess it's just the nature of man. So we each just have to choose our own way. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, we have to remember, my fellow Americans, if America goes, so goes the world. Where else is there a place where people can own weapons and speak out against the government? Even though those two things are being threatened as I speak. There's some small town, I forget where, but I think the mayor, they outlawed protest or something to that effect. Just trample over that First Amendment. Other towns and localities are outlawing weapons. Just trample over that Second Amendment. But see, the Second Amendment's the only thing by law that gives we the people a chance to rise up. But you see, you don't need something written on a piece of paper. You're here. That's all you need. You decide for yourself. You don't have to care what somebody else says that's right or wrong. You can choose for yourself and go, damn it, I was born here, I'm sovereign. Nobody's the boss of me but me, and act accordingly. But remember the freedom equation. If your power is less than somebody else's, they will be imposing their will, their beliefs, their laws upon you. How else can the police arrest you? They got more power, either in numbers or in weaponry. When you think about it, how else can a country impose their will and beliefs upon another country? How can one country tell another country, you can't have a nuclear device, or you can't have an air force, or you can't have? There's only one way. They've got the power. Is it right? Depends on which side of the freedom equation you're on. If you're on the side that has more power, it's right. If you're on the side that has less power, it's wrong. Do you see how that equation works now? What's the answer? Hey, we're only here for a short time. You have to enjoy life the best you can. Just do the best you can. Just be knowledgeable. Do what you think is right for you and yours. And most important, my fellow Americans, wake up and smell the tyranny.